You're listening to episode 143 of Outnumbered the podcast. Today, we are welcoming a wonderful guest, Marie McDonald from Gabb Wireless, one of our most favorite companies for kids. Gabb Wireless is the tech leader in offering safe technology for kids with their Gabb phone and now Gabb Watch. We can't wait to explore these devices with you in today's episode and hear from Marie on Gabb's mission and what makes their company stand apart from the rest of the technological world in helping keep our kids safe. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Outnumbered the podcast. I'm Audrey.
And I'm Bonnie. We are experienced moms to a combined total of 19 children.
In our weekly episodes, we explore relatable topics using our perspectives of humor and chaos.
Tune in for advice and encouragement to gain more joy in your parenting journey. Welcome back, friends. We are so excited about this episode with a guest. Her name is Marie McDonald, and she is the Vice President of PR and Communications at Gabb Wireless. So we wanted to say hello to Marie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You all know that we are really passionate about helping our kids navigate this technological world we have. So we're thrilled to ask her a few questions and get some of the backstory of this fantastic company. Okay, so Marie, to start off, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself personally and professionally?
Yes. So I'm a mother of 4. I have children ranging in age from 6 to 16. And I found Gabb because I am a parent first, wanting to find that solution for my child. And my son at 14 was begging, asking for a phone. And I looked and searched and found Gabb and saw how it made a big difference in our family on helping him to understand safe tech and how to use a cell phone responsibly. And so I actually came to Gabb and said, I love your mission. How can I be a part of this? And let's change the world. And that's exactly what we've done. We just are providing these solutions to families looking for options. And it's been a great ride.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, so it sounds like we really got the right person that we wanted to talk to, because we love it when somebody is so passionate about a dream, a mission, an idea that they go and join themselves to it.
Yes, well, it's scary. I mean, I would dare say technology and kids happens to be the scariest part of parenting. You feel alone and you don't know what's the best answer, and each child is different, and you have to approach them in a way that they understand and also get the vision of not giving them too much technology too soon. So it is just a very hard mountain to climb as a parent. And I'm just so thrilled to personally have found Gabb and then to be talking about it today with you.
Yeah. And as we've mentioned so many times on the podcast, we are the first generation of parents that are parenting kids with the internet in their pocket.
and that's exactly right. Yes. Yeah. And not only in their pocket, but all the time. They have access to so much. I mean, that phone goes with them everywhere. So it's constant. And we're all trying to figure it out as parents. And it is hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Because we like the part where we can check up on them and get a hold of them instantly and feel like they're safe. Like that part of technology we like, but it's the other parts that have us downright scared.
Yes, it's that you want to connect and you want to protect. It's just that interesting dynamic of both, that trying to teach your child these appropriate habits are scary.
Yeah, so true. Okay, so you mentioned Gabb's mission, and that was the reason why you jumped on board with the company. But give us the specific words of Gabb's mission and why you're passionate about it.
So Gabb is safe tech for kids, and we believe that there is a life outside the screen. If you walk into most junior highs and high school lunchtime, you will see kids hiding behind their phone, not looking up and engaging. If you're walking at a park, you don't see older kids playing, you see them behind the screen. So we really want to encourage kids to find the confidence outside the screen, that there is a better life to then living and playing games, and that being your life. And the life of connection is truly what will give you confidence. So the best and short answer to your question is Gabb will give your child confidence found outside of the screen.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now, do you sell that in a cross-stitching
Oh my goodness, I
pamphlet
should.
that I can hang on my wall? That would be phenomenal.
It would be on my wall as well, because you want, as a parent, to give your child this inner confidence.
Mhm.
And you have to be deliberate about raising a child with confidence. And it's difficult because, so quickly they'll be sucked into a game and they'll think it's cool, or they'll be sucked into social media and they think their confidence comes from that. But having the conversations, having that open dialogue with your children to tell them, hey, this is not what's going to give you lasting confidence. It's connection. It's working hard at something. It's understanding, putting the work in, understanding that you have to put the work in that will bring confidence. That's truly what will raise a well-rounded, happy, healthy adult.
One way that we've put it on this podcast before on some of our episodes about cell phones and screen time is that their world is narrowed down to a 3x6-inch square when they're behind that screen. And that's just like, I love what you're saying about there's life outside the screen. Life is bigger than a 3x6-inch rectangle.
Well said.
And I've noticed that because our world is a technological world, that's the way that kids gain a lot of their confidence, because that's how they're communicating, right? And so we can't really keep them away from that. That's their future and their present, right? And so I love that Gabb bridges the gap between, no cell phone, no way of communicating and staying in the know with their friends and family, and the complete opposite end of the spectrum, which is throwing the entire internet, good, bad, and ugly, into their pocket at once. It's a really great concept to ease them into this world.
Yes, and we're not anti-technology. We are a tech company. We love tech. We understand there is good in tech, and we want to guide parents so they can teach their children that there's good tech, bad tech, and be aware so that way the child can go through life recognizing the good, the bad, the ugly, and really gravitating towards the good.
Yeah, totally. So Audrey and I have talked a lot on the podcast about cell phones and screens and the addictive behaviors that go along with that. So can you tell us a little bit more, especially for those who have never heard of Gabb Wireless before, tell us a little bit more about how Gabb plays into the solution for all these negative screen-related behaviors.
So at Gabb, we provide tech in steps, meaning you give your child building stones that they can learn responsible tech habits. You wouldn't teach a child how to swim in the ocean. You would teach them gradually, just as you wouldn't teach a child, a little toddler, to ride a mountain bike. You give them a tricycle, then you take off the training wheels, and then you go to the two-wheel bike, and then the mountain bike. So it's exactly the same concept with safe tech. Gabb has provided different solutions that a parent then can give their child. So it's tech in steps. They learn, they grow. That way they learn to be responsible tech citizens as adults.
It's almost like those of you at Gabb are parents or something.
And that's exactly how we started. Our CEO, Stephen Dalby, was looking for an option for a cell phone for his 13-year-old son. And there was the flip phone, and there was a smartphone, and there was nothing in between. And so he courageously committed to finding that entirely safe phone. And that is how we started. And that's exactly what he's done. He's 100% committed to providing devices that are right out of the box, safe. No parental controls needed.
Yeah. About, I don't know, 8 years ago, I walked into my local cell phone sale place and I described them basically a Gabb Wireless phone. And I said, do you have something like this? And the sales rep says to me, no, I've never heard of anything like that, but I really wish there was something like that out there.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I hear you. And I'm so glad that Gabb can be that solution for you and for your listeners because it is a game changer. It changed my family. Uh, my kids are all on Gabb devices. We love it. We live by it. And as you hear, I preach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So share with us what makes Gab different from other cell phone companies, like even the ones with all the filters and parental controls. What tell us what sets Gab apart?
Well, what sets Gabb apart is there are no parental controls needed. It's an entirely safe phone. The phone was made with safety in mind. It was engineered that way. So when a parent orders a phone, they can know with complete confidence that when they get that device out of the box, it's safe. When a child receives text messages that are sent, they will only arrive if there's not explicit words in the text or our filter system catches nudity. It is an entirely safe phone. So parents just have that complete peace of mind. Sure, there's options out there that use parental controls, but parental controls, as you know, are exhausting. As a parent, you have to be just as on top of it as as a regular smartphone. Just because there's parental controls doesn't mean you don't need to pay attention. Even with the Gabb phone, we want parents to be talking to their children. We want them to look at their phone and give them some guidelines on the best way to text, or hey, it's after 9:30 p.m. Not a good idea to call. We encourage that open communication, but you can know that with open communication and with our devices, it's an entirely safe solution for families.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yes, as an experienced parent who has dealt with many different kinds of parental controls, it is exhausting, and my children are 10,000 times smarter than I am. And so they're
Mhm.
always figuring out ways to do what they want to do on their device. I mean, we had just iPods for my oldest boys a couple years ago, thinking this is how we're going to ease in. We won't give them a plan. It will just be this Wi-Fi device and we can check everything. Within 3 days, they'd figured out how to get around my um whatever filters I had on there and download the best game that was what they wanted, and we're spending all their time doing it. I'm thinking, these kids are way too smart for me. This is not going to work out.
Kids are way too smart for all of us. They are so quick and fast, and they figure out back doors, side doors. And I'll tell you what, they find a way to get through the parental controls. So I am personally so glad that Gabb, there's no way to get around it. It's just a safe phone. It has all of the essentials, none of the junk. So that way parents can give their child a phone with confidence that they won't get into the mucky stuff that's so is everywhere. That's just so easily in their back pocket.
Yeah, and on this note, I wanted to ask you about the Gabb network itself. Now, I was on board right when Gabb started out, and I remember learning that they created their own network. Tell us a little bit about that and why that's essential.
That's right. We're entirely our own network as well, with the confidence that parents, when they sign up for our service, that they don't have to sign up for a contract. That it's month to month. They can try it out. They can see the service, and they know that their child isn't being tracked. We don't sell any information. It was the only way that we could promise parents that their child was going to be safe on the Gabb network.
That's phenomenal. And it sounds like a huge job. I can't even imagine.
It's a huge job, but we work with the best. And Stephen Delby, again, our CEO, he has assembled a team that is just A-listers. That every day I come to work and I think this Gabb is changing the world because we have, as you said, parents that work here that are committed to keeping their kids safe, and they're just so sick and tired of the garbage that's out there. So we're all fighting on the front lines to keep America's children safe.
That's so great. Okay, so my next question is this. I have found myself on a lot of parenting Facebook groups and forums where parents are talking about tech all the time, right? Like, what's the best first phone? How do I navigate this? How do I navigate that? So if you could send a message to all the parents out there whose kids are begging them for a phone, what would that message be?
So there's not really an age, I think, that's the perfect magical age that you give your child a phone. I think as a parent, you decide. It's a maturity. It's a mark of maturity. As I mentioned, I have 4 children. We've handled giving them a Gabb phone at different times. Now with our watch that we've launched, I'm able to give my 6-year-old the watch with confidence that she's learning tech and steps. But to answer your question, it's the parent's job to start to see the signs that they want to give their child that first phone, that they want to connect yet protect, and that the parent is also ready to then look at their child's phone, talk about the text messages that are going on, begin to teach them those healthy tech habits. So I don't want to give you an age, but I would urge your listeners to start to look at the maturity of their own child, to then say, not only is my child ready, but as a parent, am I ready for that next responsibility, for that introducing tech, and for the for the opening of the new lessons of having a safe phone, um, able to connect uh, and begin that journey, that tech journey.
Yeah, that's such a good assessment because we found in a lot of things, Bonnie and I, with 9 and 10 kids through our combined 100 billion years of parenting, that there's different. Not every kid is ready for the same thing at the same age. So, just in my own family, one of my kids was ready for a cell phone a couple years earlier than another kid was, because they were showing signs that they were more ready. So, yeah. And then I also feel a little poked by what you say about, is the parent ready to take on the extra responsibility? Just because, isn't that the way it is about everything? Like, we can't just turn our kids loose and call ourselves good parents.
Right. And as we've talked about, Gabb is an entirely safe phone, but it's just like hygiene. You don't just give your kid a bar of soap and say good luck. You have to like coax them through it. You have to say, hey, you have to use the soap, and you have to wash the right parts, and you've got to do it daily. It's like it's tech hygiene. You can't just say good luck. It's part of being a parent, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, this is a great segue into the next thing that we wanted to talk to you about, because there is this idea out there that if you don't give your kids a smartphone, you're like sheltering them. And when they go out in the world, they're going to completely spiral off out of control. So you need to give them a cell phone early, a smartphone, so that they have experience navigating the internet and smartphones. Can you help us have something to share with parents that propose that thought to us?
Again, I would just bring you back to when I talked about dropping your kid in the ocean that doesn't know how to swim. We want our child to swim in the ocean. My goodness, I love a good day playing in the ocean. But did I start my child swimming lessons in the ocean? Heavens no. I put the time in. I was there at the swim lessons. We learned how to kick, blow bubbles, and then we've progressed to now that we're playing in the ocean. It's just the same thing. We give our child these safe tech solutions, so then they are ready to graduate. They are ready as adults to then know when it's time to put it down, to be able to self-regulate and be a responsible tech citizen. So I just think it comes down to tech and steps. I want my kids. I want my kids to understand good tech, bad tech, but I want them to understand it in steps.
Yeah, we talk about this concept a lot when we're talking about bringing our kids into the knowledge of everything that's out there in the world. We don't just throw them out there and say, here it is, but we kind of go through the experience with them, like, like we walk through it together, holding their hand. So it sounds like that's kind of the same concept that you guys have at Gabb, that you want to help them and learn it together and go through it in these steps.
Anything that brings communication and connection, I think, is always helpful as a parent. And there is a really incredible opportunity for a parent to connect with their child as they're learning to use technology. And I think it's important for the parent to have those open conversations, so they realize, hey, you're going to see you're going to see pornography at some point in your life. When you do, what happens? What are we what do we do? And then you dive into that conversation, and sure, it's uncomfortable, but you've got to give your children tools. So when something unexpected happens, that they're ready and they come talk to you about it. The last thing we want as a parent is for a child to get a hold of a device, be in their bedroom alone with the door shut, and then never tell a soul and have to process that. You want your child to come to you and have that moment of real pure connection.
Right, right. I was just thinking about my own first smartphone, and I think we were a little late to the game because we were poor, but we stuck with the flip phone for a while. But I think I was 30, and I still remember those first couple years dealing with the anxiety of too much social media and playing stupid games when I had downtime, and all the things that come with learning how to use this massively powerful device. Like, I think because smartphones have been around now for over a decade, we have forgotten just how powerful and dangerous it can be. Like, it's like handing your child a live grenade. Like, be careful, see you later, and we, even as adults, we struggle so much with regulating our behaviors with the entirety of the internet in our pocket. And so to have a step where we say, first, we're going to learn this in communication, and this is appropriate and this is not appropriate, and then we're going to learn this, and then we're going to move up, is just such a fantastic opportunity. So I'm so grateful that I don't have to hand my kid a smartphone and just cross my fingers and hope for the best.
It's tricky. The different technology companies, they're smart. They have a way to pull in adults and pull in teens and pull in children. And so as a parent, we've just got to say, hey, I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to talk to my kids about it. Otherwise, you'll have a child that is exposed to something that they're not quite ready for. So again, I would just like to echo what you say is what you've said is these are powerful devices, and we want to give our kids the tools to then know how to fight against the hard moments.
Right, right. So I want to go back for just a second to what you were saying about tech hygiene, so to speak. I'd love to hear your thoughts on teaching kids some of those basic skills. So we've gotten to the point where our kid is ready for a Gabb phone. We're handing it over. What are some of those first steps in teaching? Like, some of us don't even know where to go from there. The kids really, really need to know, even with a basic texting and calling device.
Well, first, I would say you need to talk to your child about not taking the phone to bed with them. That they plug it, they power it down, they plug it in a very a spot that the family's agreed upon that's near the parent's bedroom. So that way they're able to power down themselves, power down their device. So the parent knows and the child knows the rule is at this time, the phone is off, we plug it away. Then I would encourage a parent to check the text messages regularly and have that conversation. I've experienced this with my own child, where I read a message that she sent to a friend that was not how she intended it, but I wanted to read it to her and say, hey, I noticed that you text so-and-so this message. Let's talk about why you sent it and how sometimes text messaging can be read differently, on the other end. And so it's number one, you're committing to store it and safe it away and place it away in a universal good spot. And two, it's just the parent tells the child, hey, your phone isn't private. We go over your phone, we talk about it. This is a teaching tool. I'm here to help you. So know that everything that you text or everything that you view, I'm going to see too. Just like the internet. Someday, you'll have the internet on your phone. Gabb phones, thankfully, they don't have internet on their phone, but that anything you place out there, anything you say, it is out there. It's just like those little steps. You just need to teach them that what they see and what they do isn't private, and to talk them through that. So those are two of the main steps I would take with your family.
Yeah, that's something we've had to go through with our kids and getting them devices until they are paying for it and paying their monthly bill. They can't call it theirs. It's ours.
Yes.
And then, that means that we look at it and use it and so on. Yeah. So going a little off script here, I wanted to ask you something that you said triggered this thought for me. So do you see adults wanting a simpler phone or needing to detox from the internet and social media and all that? Do you see that kind of customer coming to Gabb Wireless, and do you think it's like a good option for that kind of person?
It's a fantastic option. Interestingly enough, we have um, a a guy named Maxwell that oversees our contests. We have these really fun contests at Gab that encourage families to again live outside the screen. But Maxwell uh, came to us as a customer and said, "Hey, I needed uh, a simple phone. I found Gab, and I love you so much that I want to work here." And so not only do we have proof that this happens, but then he loved the mission just like I did so much. He works here, so absolutely. And in fact, there is a hashtag called Gone Gab where adults they go Gab for the weekend, or they just want that simple phone, or they even get a Gab for their elderly parent. Simple is better, and I think people are seeing that, and they see that there is just so much to living outside the screen, regardless of age.
Yeah, that is really awesome. Again, I just keep coming back to this thought that you people that work at Gab, you're just a bunch of parents. You're just in this
We
to
are.
protect your kids. And I just love that so much, because then we as parents can, fall behind that, and we can totally get on board with this message and feel good about giving our kids a safe option.
And it's interesting. Gab is not for everyone. There are parents that just don't really care. They give their child a phone as soon as they get braces, and they say, "Hey, you know what? They're gonna learn the hard way anyway," and they give them a phone. If that's the way you want to parent, Gab's not for you. But if you want to teach them and you want to look at this as a way to communicate and have that open communication and really raise responsible tech citizens and care, then Gab is for you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think I'm going to do a Gab weekend here one of these days.
Yes,
I
it's
think that's a
great. I've done it.
phenomenal idea. Yeah.
Mhm. As you can tell, there is just something so refreshing about putting your phone down and living.
Yes. And someone can still get a hold of you if necessary, but you're not going to answer the text and then flip right over to Facebook and waste an hour.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
One boundary that I've drawn for myself is that I don't get on my device on Sunday, except for should a phone call come in, and then like checking email in the morning and in the evening. And I tell you what, my Sundays are so special and peaceful, and I
Mhm.
get a lot of other stuff done. And I don't know, I think I could be one of those Gone Gab people, like, permanently.
I agree. One thing that's worked for me is I actually put my phone when I get home in a drawer. So I'm focused on dinner time. I'm focused on that communication. And I make a deliberate decision until after the kids are tucked in to bed that then I check it and I catch up and I go put it back in the drawer and I spend that time with my husband. But you have to make that deliberate decision beforehand. Otherwise, you get sucked in, even as an adult. There's a lot that happens, a lot of text message you've got to return, and that's life. But it's just making that decision that there's a time and a place for tech, and you put it in its place, that really creates that healthy, happy uh, overall adult.
Yeah, I love that idea, especially as a working parent, right? You're spending time away from your kids during the day, and to be able to be fully present, that is something I struggle with when my kids are around, is a real gift, right? And they're going to remember seeing your eyeballs instead of the back of your phone their entire childhood.
There is an image that floats around that is a mom hiding behind the phone, and the child saying, "Mom, mom, mom," and I try to visualize that because the last thing you want is to not be present. We've talked a lot about that communication, and that is so critical to build love and trust, and so making the decision that you will look up and you will answer, it makes a difference on your relationship with not only your children but with your family and friends in general.
Right.
Isn't it
Right.
ironic that a communication device has turned into something that hinders so much good communication?
Mhm.
Isn't it ironic? I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we're almost out of time, but I had one final question for you. We are so excited that Gabb has come out with a watch for kids now. So can you just tell us a little bit about the watch and what that can do for our kids?
Yes. So we, as you said, we just launched our watch, which is a watch that serves as a phone. It has it's controlled by the parent's phone. There's an app called My Gabb, and the parent in the My Gabb app sets 10 numbers the child can call. It has an SOS button, so if the child is in panic, that can push the button, and then it alerts the parent's phone. It also has a really cool feature called the uh, Gabb Go, which is a game, but the only way to play the game is to live. And so the parent can assign a task. For instance, with my 6-year-old, I assign her every day to make her bed and get dressed and brush her teeth. And then when she's done, she clicks her watch, and then she's awarded coins. And then the coins then feed the animal that she is taking care of. So it's a fun way to communicate with your kid and also teach them really great motivational life skills. So that is our first step in our in our Gabb products, which is really great. There are different colored bands, and it's just that perfect way for a parent, if they're trying to check in on their child, they can zoom in on their My Gabb app on their phone and see where the child is. It has GPS, it has safe zones, so I know when my child walks into school, it automatically will uh, will send a message to me on my phone that said Kate has reached school and she's safe and sound. So it again, it's a perfect combination of protection and connection.
Wow, that's super incredible. I know my kids have been dying ever since I got an Apple Watch. They've been dying to have their own watch too. So I think it's time for them to try that first little step into dealing with their own tech. That's super cool, but just like you said, rewards them for living life. I love that. I wish every phone would give my kid a little reward for making his bed. That'd be
Mm-hmm, hmm.
phenomenal.
I know it's funny. My house has been her room has been clean, and I keep signing her these little tasks, and it's been really a fun thing for me to watch her be motivated to then care for her pet on the game, and it's just all around a win-win-win for our family.
So smart.
All right. So, as you guys know, Bonnie and I are really intentional about the companies that we support. And so, you know that when we signed up to be affiliates with Gabb Wireless, that this is something that we can really get behind. And so, you can use our code. You can find it in the show notes. It's outnumbered and a link right to the Gabb website where you can get your kids on the safe technology train too.
Thank you. I'm glad that you have partnered with us because it really does take parents who can link arms with the mission and take a stand and just say, I'm so sick and tired of the junk that's out there, and that are deliberate about giving their children uh, safe tech solutions. So we really appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
Anne Marie, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a delight talking to you, and we can tell just by chatting with you how much passion you have for this company, and we are just even more thrilled to be supporters, both as customers, because my kids love their Gabb phone, and I love being able to communicate with them, and as podcasters. So thank you again so much for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. I would just urge that your listeners go to gabbwireless.com and check out our devices and see if it's right for your family. And I believe you have a discount code as well. So your listeners can get that discount and truly see how Gabb can make a difference for their family.
Yes, we will include the code in the show notes. And Anne Marie, can you also tell us where we can find Gabb on social media?
Sure. Gabb Wireless is the handle, and we have always very good information on Instagram, and we have educational articles that are coming out. Really, we are just at Gabb. We are committed to being the safe tech leader across the board. So parents have options, and they're able to create their own tool belt to then teach their child how to be successful.
Yeah, and we really just want to say thank you for that from the bottom of our hearts as parents who care.
Talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, friends. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to our email and never miss another episode.
Show us some love by leaving a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with a friend. Thanks for all your support. We'll talk to you next week.
Making sure that we guide them through this. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. What happened? I was just telling her my kids left their Gabb phone in here and I don't know how to turn it off. Here we go. I figured it out. We'll edit that part out.
Throw the phone out the window. It'll survive. It's fine. Gabb can just survive anything.